Welcome to Module 4 of Programming in C#. We are going to speak about loops in this course. Let's get started. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and here we go. So a do loop is the same as a while loop. The only difference between a do loop and a while loop is that a do loop performs the programming statements first before it ever asks if the Boolean expression or the sentinel value that we're looking for is true. Now, with a while loop, it evaluates that Boolean expression first and then determines if that Boolean expression is true. Then while it is true, we're going to run the programming statements that are in the code. So if I switch over to Visual Studio, you can see that we already have our while loop in tow. We've already done the work to get this all working. So let's turn it into a do loop. Now, I'm going to go ahead and copy and do this. And as you can see, this is really all you need to do. And at this point, what we're saying is do what's in the programming statements block and then ask the question if the expression is true. Now, of course, because we're abiding by industry standards, the while loop will always be true, but that's neither here nor there. It'll ask the question regardless, is this Boolean expression true? Now, I want to point something out. How do I know I'm looking at a do loop or an if statement without anyone even telling me or even looking at the word do or while? Well, it's very easy, actually. Understand that a do while, an if statement, a switch statement, a for each, a for loop, those are not programming statements. They control the flow of the program, which means that when I execute my program based on the do or the do while or the if, it's not performing an action at all. What it's doing is it's asking a question, or it is changing the flow of the program. The way I know I'm looking at a programming statement is when at the end of the line, I see a semicolon. If I see a semicolon at the end of the line, I know for a fact I am staring directly at something which is executing. Now, looking down here at the console.write line, you can see that we're executing a method from the console library / class, which also exists in the system library and or class, right? This is a programming statement. This is a programming statement. And everything between these two curly braces can be treated like a block of programming statements or a block of code. All right, with that being said, I've already put a breakpoint at line 11. So let's make this a short one and let's debug. So as everything's powering up, you will see that we should stop. There we go. We stopped at line 11. In our watch, let me see the watch locals. All right, so there it is. Okay, in our locals, we have our counter that's initialized to 0. So if I start stepping into the code F11, it's going to do the evaluation and ask, is counter greater than or equal to 5? If it is, I want to break this loop. Now, notice that it never asked if the while loop sentinel value is true. That's because the do while will just execute for the first time and then ask the question at the end, should I keep looping? Should I loop this again? And this is pretty interesting. You might be asking the question, and I'm not going to keep going because that's pretty much shows what I wanted you guys to see. You might be asking, when would I ever use a do while? Well, when would I ever use a while loop? Normally, you'll find do whiles and whiles in gaming, right? I want you to continue to do this thing while the user is interacting with this part of my world, if you will. In other situations, you might do whiles in older programming sets where you need your program to continue to listen and think and do things. But in the end, it's not necessarily something that I would say is used prolifically as far as things that we would use as a looping structure. As a matter of fact, the loops that we use the most are for loops and for eaches, which is in the next module. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. It takes a lot to put these together, but as I say in all my videos, good luck, have fun, ciao.